everybody, and welcome here to Catalunya as we return for the 8th round of the SRL's TCR League here for season number 10. It has been a very strong season for some drivers. Season to forget for others. We've got 3 more rounds left to play for, and it all starts here into these final few. We are at Catalunya for round number 8 in the championship. We head across to Road America next Friday for round number 9, and then a delayed round at Hungaroring. It was supposed to be round 5. It was being pushed back to round number 10. We head to the Hungaroring for the 10th and final round of competition in this fantastic season of racing. Season number 11 will be announced very soon, I'm sure, with a great calendar expected as always, and a great roster of drivers anticipated to return and to step into the cars for the first time next season as well. And what a track we have here tonight then at Catalunya. And as we were setting up, we have a couple of issues with our championship standings graphics. Unfortunately today, you're going to have to listen to my voice as I talk through them without any visuals today. So we'll give it a go. We'll see how it gets on. But welcome to the commentary booth here for Joseph Wright Broadcasting and SRL TV here today as we get ready for this amazing round of competition. Over 20 drivers getting ready to go down onto the grid as most championships now seem to find themselves sorted out as we head into the back end of this championship. There are still some championships, though, still open for our drivers to compete with. Now, let's start with our top class, as we always do, our pro standings, and Adam Delmont. He has dominated those standings since the beginning of the season. Of course, Jack Bolton was there with him right at the start, but Delmont won the first race of the season after Bolton put it on pole. Delmont then won his second in round 3 at Long Beach. He won his third at round 4. He won his fourth at VIR. He won his 5th at Mugello, and they are only his overall race victories. He's taken more in the pro class. Of course, we have now seen 3 times this season a pro driver has not won the overall race in race number 2. But that does mean that Adam Delmont is leading the pro championship right now. He's got 704 points to his name. The next man in the championship with 610 is Kim Bjorklund. They are both out there today. Luciano Espineira found himself in 3rd in the championship. He finds himself almost another 100 points back on 527. But himself, Lyon, Thurtle, there's only 17 points separating them from 527 down to 510 points. Another big drop down to Jaden Scott, and he's got 420 points. And then Dan Mould with 399. Of course, Mould not racing the rest of the season due to an injury. Logan McKenzie's down there with him, 12 points back, and then Jack Bolton stepped out of the league after round number 3. He's dropped down to 9th now with 360 points in his name. Anthony Lammers at the bottom with 198 points, and we still have a driver there without any points to his name yet to take part in this season of competition. We're unlikely to see him out for the remainder of the season. The semi-pro standings then still sees Daniel Downing up there. Of course, Downing did drop down out of the lead of the semi-pro championship. The drop weeks came into force, and he found his way back into the top of the championship. He remains there again by almost 100 points. 529 points for Daniel Downing. Dek Crowther finds himself up into 2nd position with 433 points. You can see 96 points separate the top 2 in the semi-pros. Kev Aylett, though, is only a 1 point behind Dek Crowther, so the fight for 2nd in the semi-pros is very much on. Stephen Fry only 30 points back, and Carl Hardy a further 6. So it's very close for 2nd in the semi-pro championship right now. You then go down to John Brown. He sits in 6th position ahead of Mark Draper. Daniel Lewis sits in 8th position ahead of Ronald de Jong. Tom Woodcock rounds out your top 10. It's then Lovesey, Codeman and Cooley at the bottom of your semi-pro standings. That semi-pro class, remember, is the new class for this season. It's what separates your pro-ams and your pro drivers. It's in between those two. Talking of your Pro-Am drivers then, let's have a drop down into the Pro-Am class, and it is Demis Tigchelaar leading the way there, not as dominantly though. Only 25 points separates Tigchelaar and the man in P2, Jack Brown. They are both going to be going at it and seeing what they can do in today's races. Tigchelaar has taken 2 wins so far this season in class. Jack Brown has only taken 1 in-class victory so far. Alain McKane finds his way up into 3rd position in the Pro-Am standings ahead of Craig Walters, and Fraser Garrity drops down to 5th place. They are all within 30 points of each other. It is very close in the Pro-Ams. JB Dejay right now has moved up to 6th position, knocking Stuart Gibbons down to 7th, and Paul Hurley overtakes Gonzalo Oliveira for 8th position. Kevin Marshall rounds out the top 10. He sits with 264 points. And then Lucas Henschel is 238 points at a Luke Woodhouse with 233. And then again, a driver without any points on the board behind that. Finally, your amateur standings heading into this one. It's your closest championship standings of them all. Vegard Olson Lia is the man at the very top of the amateur standings with 367 points. But he is just 10 points clear of Thomas Coombe, who has 357. So right now, between your 2 drivers at the top of the standings, who is trying to fight this out for the top of the order, Vegard Olson Lia right now 10 points clear ahead of the rest as we head into this one. So right now in your amateur standings, it is very, very close. Ben Gibbons sits with 310 points to his name and is looking to try and find his way a little bit further forward as well. He is only 57 points off of a potential championship lead in class. So we've got to keep an eye on that amateur class. It is the closest one. It's the one that came down to the wire last season as well. So we'll see how it goes here. Then it is Torbjørn Mayle. He runs in 4th. Of course, he was tied in the lead of the championship alongside Vegard Olson Lia when they went into, I think it was Mugello, they were tied on points. But with the drop weeks applied, Mayle finds himself a little bit further down the field. Jeff Saunders rounds out in 5th position. Chris London and Scott Malcolm have swapped over in 6th and 7th position with 192 and 172 points. Aaron Matthews finds himself on 170 points in 8th. Andy Littler moves up inside the top 10. He finds his way to 9th ahead of Chesney Vandenbroek. And outside the top 10 right now is Yannick Van Rieden and James Brown. And again, just one driver who has not stepped out onto the track for that one. Now then, we do have the graphics for the team standings. We can get those ones up for you here. So let's have a little look at our team standings out of the previous round at Brands Hatch. And of course, it is going to be remaining in the lead for Next Gen Racing Green. They find their way at the very top where they have been throughout most of this season. The behind the wheel in there is obviously Jack Brown and Adam Delmont. Delmont dominating the overall Pro Championship. Jack Brown trying to find his way to the very front of the Pro-Am Championship, only a few points off of it at the moment. So strong pairing in Next Gen Racing Green, and it means that they sit almost 200 points clear of Sim Racing Forces Norway, who is currently in 2nd position in class. Kim Bjorklund, Ronald de Jong, they're the 2 drivers that are in that field of drivers at the in that in that team, I should say. Kim Bjorklund, though, has found most of the points for that team. De Jong, though, has put a substantial amount of points on the board for as well. Then it's the 2 SRL teams. SRL Purple ahead of SRL Rosso. Of course, Rosso dropping down. Only Stephen Fry behind the wheel of an SRL Rosso machine into the second half of this season, with his teammate Dan Mould having to back out. Defending champion, of course, in Dan Mould, having to back out due to an injury. The SRL Purple team got Daniel Downing and Mark Draper in there. Of course, Downing dominating the semi-pro championship right now and has almost that 100-point lead there as well. So again, a very strong driver being supported by another driver getting some good points. Mark Draper getting some good points over the course of the season. Bike 500, they were leading the championship after the first couple of rounds. They found their way down the order though. They're currently 5th position. Of course, that's Luciano Espineira 3rd in the Pro and Overall Championship, and Gonzalo Oliveira, who's falling down in his class. You can see on the left-hand side there all of the rest of your teams as they drop down all the way to the 21st position on the board. Of course, it's Declan Marsden and James Colden of Luminous Armco Enthusiasts, 2 of your 3 drivers that have not raced this season, so no points on the board for them. But the rest of your 20 teams have found points on the board throughout the course of this season. 2 minutes left here in the practice session then, and we are about to go racing around this wonderful Catalunya circuit, and what a circuit it is as well. Now then, if this is your first time coming and joining us for one of these events, then you might not be sure of how we run it. This is the 8th round of competition, of course, this 10-round season. Drivers are about to come to a close of their hour-long practice session. Right now, it's Delmont looking to be the fast out there. John Brown is looking quick in the semi-pros as well, as is Jack Brown, crucially for his championship fight in the Pro-Ams. And Torburn Mayo looking to find his way to the top of the amateurs right now, looking to fight his way back to the front of the amateur class championship. After we finish this practice session in the next minute and a half, though, we will be going out for our qualifying session. That'll be 15 minutes of competition. Drivers will all be heading out onto the same piece of tarmac at the same time. They will have to contend with others to try and find their space, but of course this circuit, a lot of straights out there, means that you are also going to be looking to see if you can find some people to work with, get some slipstream out there and find your best lap possible. Race number 1 then will be 20 minutes of competition, and we will be set by our qualifying order for that one, so it will be as you were out of the qualifying session. Race number 2, however, we introduced a little bit of a change. 25 minutes of competition, an extra 5 minutes to head out there. Of course, this circuit, that'll add about 3, maybe even 4 extra laps to the race. And that will be your race 1 result. However, your top 15 in that will be reversed. Now, that helped out our amateur field last week, of course, and we saw Chesney Vandenbroek go for the double in the amateur field because he ended up winning in race the class in race number 1. It put him into an inverted second, an inverted second, maybe even an inverted pole, I can't remember exactly, but he was finding himself right to the very front of that field. He ended up falling down the overall order as the race went on, but he did keep himself at the front of the amateur field. So that inverted grid can help you out if you are in one of those lower classes, and we see the the grid reversed and you find yourself towards the front, because it means all of your competitors are going to be towards the rear. Of course, important to remember here for your points, drivers are racing in their own individual classes in the championships. However, they take their points from their overall race results. So if an amateur driver finishes in 15th, they take the points for 15th even if they win the class. As we head over into the start-finish straight, you can see drivers heading up towards turn number 1 as qualifying here has begun, and we get going on this one. Now, I know that there are some complaints about the audio level on this one. However, if you turn it up too much, I know I'm going to get complaints when I start shouting and it starts clipping. So I've knocked it up a little bit again, but I'm not going to do it anymore, because when we do start racing and I do raise my voice, I don't want anyone complaining about clipping, and if you do, then it will stay that way, unfortunately for you. Right then, we are getting out in this qualifying session, and right now we've got Daniel Lewis that we are trailing around this session and getting out there. Everyone heading down onto the track at the same time in this 15 minutes, of course, and they are going to need to find themselves a little bit of extra space out there to see if they can do something in this session. Of course, there are still competitions going on within the championship. It is very close for our drivers to take those championship victories, of course, at the top of especially pro drivers for Adam Delmont, and your semi-pros, of course, is looking quite close as well for Daniel Downing. So they are all but confirmed in their championship. But other drivers still have the opportunities here. They are still going to be able to find those points, hope for some poor races. Of course, Daniel Downing has already had some poor races so far this season that have been dropped. If he has a issue a little bit later on, it will mean that he could be losing some significant points out over those other drivers. So we will see how that championship fares. Of course, the final round of competition at Hungaroring, it cannot be dropped. So today's race and next week's race at Road America are the final 2 rounds that potentially could be dropped. But when we head out around Hungaroring, it is going to be official for those results, and we will have, of course, like we did after season number 9, we will hang around, have a little bit of a longer stream, and we will get your official championship standings at the end of that one. Of course, that's in 2 weeks' time, will be the finales. Make sure you don't miss it. We've got round number 9 next week at Road America. Right then, Daniel Lewis heading around the lap at the moment as we will go and have a little bit of a look at Paul Hurley so that we can run around a lap of this wonderful circuit. Paul Hurley going through the turn 1 and 2 complex up towards turn number 3, the long right-hander here. Get close to that inside apex, but then you push yourself out wide here as you set yourself up for turn number 4. We slam onto the brakes and get ourselves turned in for turn 4 here. A little bit later onto the throttle there from Hurley as he just wants to make sure that his car turned all the way through the corner, and now into turn number 5. Missing that curbing on the inside a little bit, pushing out onto the green turf as we go through this kink of 6 and up to the heavy braking zone into 7 here. And I do think we will see a couple of drivers try to stick their nose up the inside. I'm sure it will send a few out onto the gravel there as Hurley still trying to get some temp into his tyres. He goes through turn number 9, pushed hard out of here, full throttle along the back here. A toe is going to be very helpful along this back straight here, as it is the front straight as well across the timing line, up onto the brakes. Of course, this old layout, this historic layout of Catalunya. We run out towards turn number 10, into 11 there, and now across to the right-hand side of 12. We're not doing the final chicanes, which will slow you right down. Instead, we're going to be carrying a fair bit of speed as we come through turn number 14. Push up to the inside there, Hurley making sure he keeps it within track limits, and then running over that social curb on the outside into 14 here, aptly named Catalunya, and then we'll come out of the final turn and up towards the timing line, and that is a lap of the Catalunya circuit, and we will get our timing screens up onto the left-hand side so you can see how it goes. I said that John Brown was looking quick in practice. Well, he has repeated that feat here in qualifying, and he has gone a 153.446 in his overall pole position right now. We're waiting for Delmont and Scotton in your pro class to put in times. Only 3 pro drivers here this evening. We'll see if they can knock John Brown off the top, and we'll also see if Kim Bjorklund is able to find any time out there as well to improve on his current lap time, which is 0.165 of a second slower, and looking to try and find his way into that pole position. Of course, Bjorklund took pole at VIR. He was unable to convert that pole into a race victory in either of the races. However, he took pole position once again last time out at Brands Hatch. He converted race 1 into an overall victory. He was also able to take class victory in race number 2 as well. So Kim Bjorklund will be looking to try and repeat something similar here. I'm sure he gets the toe along the front straight, and that does give him enough of an advantage as Daniel Downing goes fastest in your semi-pros. Demis Tigchelaar is fastest in your pro-ams right now. Jaden Scotton finds time to go provisional pole position himself, and Ben Gibbons finds time out there as well. He's running around with his teammate chasing him just behind as well, and of course having your teammates running with you in Luke Woodhouse here, it's going to give you the slipstream behind, and of course they can work together, alternate positions. But Ben Gibbons right now is your fastest of your AMs, and that's exactly what the man in 3rd position in the championship is going to want to do is beat Thomas Coombe, who is currently 16th, and to beat Vegard Olson Lia, who is yet to put a lap time on the board as he comes around. Here he is, 2:26 machine. Vegard Olson Lia, of course, has taken a number of victories so far this season. 3 victories to his name, matching with Thomas Coombe, who is 2nd in class. They've both got 3 victories to their name so far this season, and 3's the way to go in the Pro-Ams as well. Luke Woodhouse, Craig Walters are your 2 most common winners with 3 apiece. Demis Tigchelaar, championship leader, has only taken 2, and I say only, but he is currently leading your class in this qualifying session as well. Daniel Downing has dominated the semi-pro championship. He's taken 6 class victories. The next highest is 2, but Daniel Downing has had a couple of bad weekends that are currently being dropped, so we won't be wanting a repeat of those. Up in your pros, and Adam Delmont has taken 7 class victories. He's currently 6th in this session. Overall, though, it is a bit more of a mix because different drivers have found their way into the overall victories, including 2 semi-pro drivers under the way of Dek Crowther and Stephen Fry, and of course a Pro-Am winner under that of Stuart Gibbons as well. So there has been a mix of overall winners, but in the class, Adam Delmont has taken 7. He has taken 5 overall victories as well, though, so he's by no means towards the rear there. Vegard Olson Lia across the lap time. Last time around, he went 1.8 off the overall pace there, and what he is 0.478 off of Ben Gibbons. Adam Delmont is looking to find time here. He will not be happy with 7th position in this one. Jaden Scotton would be happy with a provisional pole position if he is able to hold this for the next 5 minutes in this session. Then Jaden Scotton will take his first pole position of the season. He's currently warming up his tyres in the JC Academy car as we come through the 7-8 chicane there. Like I say, I think that's going to be a tricky one in the race. Drivers will be looking to try and make their move up the inside. I'm sure through there that will force a few people off into the gravel. While we talk about forcing people off into the gravel, there are penalties out of last round. There's been a number of penalties this season, but there are a few that are yet to be carried over. If we see Marhan Kodeman or James Calden out onto the track at any point throughout the remainder of the season, they're not at the moment, but they both have a T4 penalty, which is the biggest penalty you can get due to some major incidents they had back at round 3. Will Lyon, if he gets back out there as well, he'll be taking a penalty from VIR, a T2 penalty. And as I say, Dan Mould is expected to miss out the remainder of the season, but if he does manage to get behind the car as well, he's also got a T2 penalty that is to be applied after Mugello. Of course, we remember at Mugello, Dan Mould jumped the start in race number 1, pushing a driver in front of him over off of the start grid, giving them both jump start penalties. Jack Brown at the moment is the fastest in the Pro-Ams. That's exactly what he wants to try and get past Demis Tigchelaar in this championship. Tigchelaar right now 10th overall, 4th in class. There's 4 cars between them at the moment. So what could Demis Tigchelaar potentially do? He's got a nice amount of tow here as we head around the turn 9 and onto the back straights here. As we watch Demis Tigchelaar in at that 10th position overall. Chris London is now the fastest man in the amateur field at the moment, and we could be looking for a new race winner in this one. If Chris London shows the pace here and is able to repeat it into the race, he could be a new amateur race winner of our 5 amateur drivers out there. Chris London is the only driver in the amateur class not to have taken a victory. Just a bit of an interesting stat there. So Chris London doing well at the moment, is the American driver. Could he take that Yas Gold machine into pole position in the amateur class? Well, right now That's going to be a no, as Torbjørn Mail finds time across the timing line there, and he finds his way to first in class, 14th position overall at the moment. Craig Walters is holding on to a third position in class as he sits 10th overall. It was an improvement around him there. I wasn't quite sure who moved up the order, but John Brown has done a good job. I think he might have been the one to move up the order, because he's got past Daniel Downing and found himself in the mix of those pro drivers. Adam Delmont still is struggling out there to find, I think it's the toe. I think Delmont is struggling here to find the support to get the toe along the around the circuit here. So we'll see what Delmont might be able to do. He is getting the toe here from the Jas machine up ahead. Thomas Coombe is not doing so well in this session as he sits down. Well, he's just jumped up the order, but he is last in all of your amateur field at the moment. And of course, Thomas Coombe is only 10 points off of Vegard Olson Lia in the amateur class championship. They now are in complete opposite ends of the field, as Olson Lia is the fastest of your amateur drivers. That back end of the field here, constantly swapping. It's Chris London that is pulling Adam Delmont around the circuit, but it means that London out there right now is not getting a toe ahead of him, and therefore will be struggling just a little bit along the straight lines to find the time that he needs. Is Adam Delmont going to find the time he needs as we come out of the final turn? Adam Delmont will come up towards the timing line. He's third in class, fourth overall. It is an improvement, but it is not good enough to move up any positions in the order there. Thomas Coombe is out there trying to improve on his time in the number 71 machine. However, for Thomas Coombe, he has got no support running around him, which means he is all on his lonesome trying to put in these lap times. The Pro-Ams, Luke Woodhouse, Fraser Garrity, Kevin Marshall, Paul Hurley, all find themselves towards back here behind your amateur drivers. Dek Crowther hasn't found a great lap either in the semi-pro field. He's behind your podium in your amateur field. If the race one was to end the way that they are going to start, Vegard Olson Lia would get pole position for race number 2. And of course, we remember back to Long Beach, he was doing a very good job at holding on that race lead before the contact. Could he find a benefit like that today to help him out in the championship? We come to a close here in qualifying then, and we will get across to the first race of the day here around the wonderful Catalunya circuit, as we are going to get our qualifying grid up so we can see how race one is going to begin. And it is going to be Jaden Scotton on pole position for the first time this season. He will find himself at the very front of the field. Kim Bjorklund will find himself in second position. It'll be John Brown in third ahead of Adam Delmont. Daniel Downing will start this one in fifth ahead of Mark Draper. Jack Brown will be at the front of the Pro-Am fields in seventh ahead of Stuart Gibbons. Kev Aylett will start in ninth ahead of Craig Walters. 11th will be Demis Tigchelaar. Ronald de Jong will start this one in 12th. Cole Hardy in 13th ahead of Daniel Lewis. Vegard Olson Lia, the fastest of the AMs, will start this one in 15th. Great position for the amateur championship leader. Torbjørn Mail will be in 16th ahead of Chris London. Dek Crowther sits in 18th. Dennis Ben Gibbons and Thomas Coombe in 19th and 20th. Your back of your field is your Pro-Ams. Luke Woodhouse, Fraser Garrity, Paul Hurley, Kevin Marshall say they were just not able to get in the lap times in that session. We will have to have a look and see what they can do in this one as our drivers prepare to go racing around the Catalunya circuit. They're almost all gridded up. They have now all found their way onto the grid here, and they'll be waiting for the light to come up so they can count their way down to the first race of the day with only 3 rounds remaining. This is a great position for Bjorklund to be in, second in the overall and pro championship. It is Adam Delmont in fourth, directly behind. Let's see what we can do for this one as we wait for the lights to come on. As we've had the lights up now. Jaden Scotton from pole on the right-hand side of your screens. We are green and away for race number 1 here at round number 8. They fly past the cameras, head up towards turn number 1 here and try to decide, where am I going to go? The outside or the inside? At the very front, it's going to be Jaden Scotton on his own. But Bjorklund has Brown on his outside. John Brown bumps Bjorklund there. They remain 2 wide. Bjorklund will hold that position. Adam Delmont looking to try to get to the inside as they come out of turn number 3 here and have a look towards turn number 4. It is 2 by 2 in the fight for second position. Bjorklund on the inside. Delmont on the inside as well. John Brown hung out to dry there as they come up towards turn number 5. We swing across to the left here. Brown will have the inside line over Adam Delmont and will try to hold that tighter line. Now this is where it's going to get troublesome, and it was 3 wide, and the championship leader is around with damage. 3 wide was never going to work, and already we see Adam Delmont fall down the order. The drop weeks are going to come in handy for him. This is side by side for just a moment in the midfield there as Craig Walters was trying to get past Mark Draper. But right now it is Jaden Scotton leading the way. Vegard Olson Lia has fallen behind Chris London, but just about, because he's got to the inside. It'll turn to the outside as we come through turn number 12 here. This is the fight for the lead of the amateur field, but it is going to go the way of Chris London. Vegard Olson Lia has Luke Woodhouse all on his rear there, who is going to have to remain in 14th position at the moment as we come up towards the timing line. Who was off there at the final turn? It was Torbjørn Mayo. Mayo finds his way off at the final turn here. Vegard Olson Lia looking to try and regain the lead in class. Past Chris London here through turn number 1. London's going to hold the inside. A little bit of a nudge there. Olson Lia will have the inside line and will try to hold it off as we go into turn number 3. Vegard Olson Lia finds his way back into the lead of that class. Luke Woodhouse here to the inside. Is trying to go side by side with Chris London to gain up into 13th position overall. London is not going to back out too much from his fight with Olson Lia, but he is going to have to give up that position right now to Woodhouse as Daniel Downing looks to find his way up the inside of Chris London as well. And it is like Olson Lia can be under attack from Woodhouse as we head up towards the braking zone here. It is a mixture of classes involved in this one, and Chris London is trying to hold it. Daniel Downing as we come up towards turn number 9. Downing on the outside there, but is able to carry the speed through and will remain trying to fight for this one as Ben Gibbons and Thomas Coombe are fighting it out for 3rd position in class just behind. That's Adam Delmont still out there with the front end damage, but has not had to come down pit lane. John Brown, who showed a huge amount of pace, caught up in that opening lap excellence as well. Of course, he did have to come down to sort out a meatball flag. It's unfortunate for him. Thomas Coombe looking to try and get up the inside of Daniel Lewis here, and he does make that overtake through, and Coombe gets up into 19th position overall in these various fights that are going on as Adam Delmont continues to try and find his way back up the order in this one. And we will have a look then at this accident, and look at it, you can just see 3 wide was never going to work. It was the SRL purple onto the middle there. It was contact. That number 17 machine of Daniel Downing tried to make it 3 wide, And that was just never going to work in that position, as Daniel Downing was the man who came out the least scathed in that one, but he is still down in 14th position. Here we go. It all comes together, and you could argue there that Delmont moved a bit too far to the left with the fact that it was 3 wide, but a 3 wide manoeuvre on the opening lap of the race was never going to work. And with that being said, Thorbjørn Mail had that issue, of course, through the final turn. It looks like he actually picked up contact. He did, he waited. That, can we just say, was a meatball. No, that's the meatball, there we go. It was contact with Ben Gibbons. So Thorbjørn Mail and Ben Gibbons had contact. There the nudges, the knock on the front. Thorbjørn Mail dives to the inside and then that almost looks like he was trying to take out Ben Gibbons in that one. But fortunately for Gibbons, there was no further contact for him. Mail had to come down pit lane to serve that. No, he didn't serve a meatball fab, but he did obviously have that off. But he did not get a meatball fab. That was an interesting one from Mail in that one. We come up towards the final turn then, and Carl Hardy is chasing down Craig Walters as the mixer of your semi-pros and pro-am drivers and your pro-am and semi-pro podiums, all at the very top of the order here as we're already 6 minutes into the race. I don't know how it's flown by so quickly as we have a look at Ronald de Jong here. Of course, de Jong teammates with Kim Bjorklund this season, but normally racing under the Hydro Race Racing Forces machine, of course, but combined for the Sim Racing Forces Norway this season. He sits just ahead of his usual teammate, Demis Tigchelaar, who sits down in 10th position at the moment. The 2 separate classes, the semi-pros for de Jong, the pro-ams for Tigchelaar. Of course, Tigchelaar's leading the pro-am championship heading into this one. Jack Brown second in the championship. He's also second in class right now. It is Stuart Gibbons who has found his way to the very front of the pro-am championship and looking to take his 3rd win in class if possible. Daniel Downing finds his way past Vegard Olson Lia. Important for Olson Lia right now. Fraser Geraghty will be the man on pole in reverse, and Olson Lia will be the only of the amateur drivers to get the inverted grid, to get involved in the inverted grid here, which would find him right at the very front with his competitors out of the top 15. There are still a few trains out there. Carl Hardy is looking to try and get past Craig Walters, because he wants to get past Walters so he can fight with Mark Draper. Draper currently 2nd in class, 6th on the road. Carl Hardy has to back out just a little bit there. Interesting to see how our drivers take the exit of 13 there. Some of them running so that they can put 2 wheels past the sausage curb. Others out there running with the 2 wheels very much inside the track limits onto and before the sausage curbs. Just a mixture of different racing lines and ideas for our drivers there as we head up towards turn number 1 once again, as most have now settled themselves down into the various slipstream trains that are out there. Jaden Scotton took his first pole position of the season here today. He is looking to convert it into his first win of the season as well, and converting pole position into race 1 victory is not as easy as it sounds. It only happened for the first time at round 6 at Mugello by Adam Delmont. Bjorklund then repeated that feat last week. Will we go 3 in a row for a pole sitter winning race number 1? It sounds like something that would happen all the time, but it most certainly is not. Daniel Downing here looking to recover up the order following the contact on the opening lap with Adam Delmont and John Brown. Delmont finding himself in 17th right now. He knows that he is only 2 positions away from an inverted pole position. He knows he needs to find his way back into the top 15 for him to have a strong go in race number 2. Of course, we have seen Delmont find his way from 15th on the grid back to the race win, so being out of the, as you just hear all the cars run over the sausage curb there, it won't be the first time that he'll be able to work his way up the order. It would be the first time he would be doing it from outside of the top 15, that was for sure. But will Adam Delmont be able to find his way up there before the end of the race and take advantage of the invert? Vegard Olson Lia right now is holding on strong by 1.4 seconds over Chris London, who is second in class, but crucially 16th on the grid, which means that he will miss out on that inverted pole position at the moment. Ronald de Jong is all over the rear end of Carl Hardy right now, chasing down Cole Walters. This could be an overtake for third in class if de Jong is able to make his way past Hardy as we come up towards turn number 5. We are now halfway through this race. As we've completed 5 laps of asking, we are expecting potentially another 5, possibly 6 here. As drivers are able to clatter the curves in these machines. We've got Daniel Downing making his way past Dek Crowther, and we will have a quick look at how he was able to do that. It looks like Crowther's gone deep into turn 7, he certainly has. Downing's gone to the outside of 8, and before we've even reached 9, Daniel Downing makes that overtake and moves his way up to 12th overall right now, the championship leader in your semi-pro field, looking to now try and do something after going around early doors here. Up towards turn number 13, again we can hear all of the cars running over that sausage curb on the outside, as they just put 2 wheels to the left-hand side. The sausage curb ends early enough that it extends how wide you can go and therefore the speed you can carry into the corner, but it doesn't delay your turn in. You don't ride it to the point where you're not able to make a corner. So it's a perfect racing line for our drivers, although it does sound a little bit weird with all the cars running over and the suspension just squeaking a little bit as it goes over the sausage curb on the outside of turn number 14, the entrance to turn 14. Of course, Jaden Scotton continues to show some good pace out here, even though Kim Bjorklund has put in the fastest lap. That fastest lap is only 0.05 of a second quicker than Scotton's fastest lap, but on average, I mean, on the last lap, Scotton ran 1.1 seconds quicker than Bjorklund. I think Bjorklund may have had a bit of a mistake on the last one to have lost that amount of time. Yeah, there you go. Bjorklund has made a mistake in through turn number 7 that has cost him a fair chunk of time there. Pushed wide, kicked up a little bit of grass there, and that's pushed him off a little bit. I think he lost some time a little bit further around the lap time as well, but I cannot pick out where it exactly happened. But Bjorklund there just holding on to second now. He's got the points if he thinks about it. He's taking points for second here. His rival, Adam Delmont, taking points for 17th right now. This is likely to be a drop week for Adam Delmont, and he'll be picking up some previous points. We'll see how that goes in the championship as Carl Hardy once again gets to the rear end of Craig Walters. He'll still be hoping to try and put Walters between himself and de Jong, of course. He wants to make that move because you do get the points for overall race positions, but he'll also be looking for that move to try and put a car between himself and a class competitor. Jack Brown wants to put some more cars between himself and class competitors, but more importantly, by getting past Kev Aylett there and moving up to 4th position, Jack Brown is now on the hunt for Stuart Gibbons. Gibbons looking for another race win in class, that 3rd race win. Jack Brown hunting down his second. He's hunting down the championship lead on Demis Tigchelaar as well. And right now, Jack Brown in 4th and Demis Tigchelaar in 12th. This is looking like a really strong result for Brown out there. We've got 5 minutes left on our board as drivers head towards the final few laps of asking in this one. Can Jack Brown find his way past Stuart Gibbons. We're used to seeing the next gen racing green machines at the front, and especially under the name of Adam Delmont. This time, however, Jack Brown is the one all the way up there. Of course, Brown has not been slow by any means. He has found his way towards the front of different fields throughout the course of the season. And Kyle Hardy finally finds his way past Craig Walters. De Jong follows him, and now Luke Woodhouse is right involved here, but can Walters hang around the outside of De Jong? It will turn to the inside of turn number 12. They're going to run side by side, and Walters will hold it to the inside line. De Jong gives him a little bit of a nudge there in the rear quarter panel. He tries to switch across. Luke Woodhouse wants to make the move here and try and get through as well as we come through turn number 13 and up to 14 here. And De Jong once again pushing on the rear end of Walters, but Kyle Hardy is taking full advantage of this and being able to pull out. Here we go, an overtaking move for Luke Woodhouse. He moves to the right-hand side of Ronald De Jong to try and get the inside of turn number 1 here. And it's going to be late on the brakes for Woodhouse. He goes into the back of Craig Walters, but everyone keeps it going the right way. De Jong now tries to swing to the outside. A little bit of a nudge there from Woodhouse, and it means that Daniel Downing is going to place his car to the inside of De Jong. And De Jong falls down to 5th in class, and Daniel Downing moves up to 4th place there. Dek Crowther finds his way past Demis Tigchelaar behind, and Vegard Olson Lia could be under attack here from Fraser Geraghty. It'll cost him 14th, but this is the rear of the flip. As long as they don't lose out time to those behind, this will be the very rear of the flip. Daniel Lewis here looking to try and find his way up the back up the order as well, as he's sitting in 19th overall right now. Vegard Olson Lia, though, has been overtaken by Fraser Geraghty. He will have the inside line, though, up towards turn number 10, and Vegard Olson Lia is going to hold that inside line for now. Luke Woodhouse looking to try and do something and get onto the podium past Craig Walters. Still has Daniel Downing behind, though, with Daniel Downing pushing hard here. Gravel into the air for Luke Woodhouse coming through turn number 13 here and up to the final turn around Catalunya. Both the name of the circuit and the name of the corner. Once again, Woodhouse finds his way onto the gravel there, and Downing thinks this is the perfect opportunity for me to get through. He still wants to catch up to Kyle Hardy, who is now 5 seconds up the road as Daniel Downing moves up the inside. Sorry, I shouldn't say 5 seconds, I should say 2 seconds up the road as Downing makes his way up to 9th position. Ben Gibbons trying to fight it out with Adam Delmont up towards the timing line. He won't be able to hold it through turn number 1, and Adam Delmont will hold on to 17th. But crucially for Delmont, he is not going to be in the invert right now as Tigchelaar gets past Crowther. Crowther has a slowdown. He pulls across to the left-hand side to give that one up. Luke Woodhouse goes to the inside of Daniel Downing. Downing says, okay, thank you very much. I'll just get back up your inside. And a great up and under there for Luke Woodhouse. He allowed, before Downing, he allowed Woodhouse to go deep there and then gave up, as we do apologise for a momentary drop there in our connection. It looks like we are good to go again, though, as Mark Draper running around 2nd position, looking to try and get past Kev Aylett for the lead. This is your semi-pro field. Draper yet to take a victory in the semi-pro class. Kev Aylett has yet to take a victory in the class as well. Both of these drivers hunting down a first-class victory. Who is going to come out on top of this one as Scotton crosses the timing line? This will be the final lap of the race here, as our drivers of Draper and Aylett come up towards the timing line as they fight for the lead in the semi-pro field. Well, Draper look to try and get the inside, hold it to the outside as Aylett just keeps it in the middle of the circuit there, heading up towards turn number 1. Draper's looking ahead at Kev Aylett, thinking, right, how am I going to make this move through? Where am I going to go? He can leave it, of course, up towards turn number 10, stick it behind, and get that toe out of turn number 9. He moves to the left-hand side as Aylett once again goes defensive. He moves to the right just a moment to pick up the toe there. Up ahead, that is Jack Brown fighting Stuart Gibbons for the lead of the Pro-Ams, but here goes Draper to the inside of Kev Aylett, and he's going to close the door as well. Mark Draper moves through to the lead of your semi-pros. Jack Brown now looking to go to the inside of Stuart Gibbons for the Pro-Am lead. Brown takes it, a little bit of contact there though, and Gibbons is going to be able to keep it on the inside up towards turn number 9. Stuart Gibbons holds on to an overall podium, holds on to a Pro-Am win. Is Draper going to try and make the move past Brown? Is Aylett going to try and make the move too? And that's Draper to the inside of Brown. There's contact between them. Brown loses out, and now Gibbons can be under attack as Draper holds the outside line. There's contact between Gibbons and Draper as they fight it out for a podium position here. We come up to the final turns, but it is going to be Mark Draper ahead. Jaden Scotton wins the race. Kim Bjorklund takes second position, and it's going to be a drag race to the line. But Mark Draper takes third ahead of Stuart Gibbons and Jack Brown by 0.06 of a second. Kev Aylett comes in home next ahead of Carl Hardy. As other drivers come up to the line, a massive gaggle of cars as Torbjørn Mail tries to get Thomas Coombe on the line. That's for 4th in class. But he won't be able to do it. He'll miss out by 1/100th of a second. But a win, and a first win of the season for Jaden Scotton. It was a semi-pro victory for Mark Draper for the first time this season. Gibbons takes home the Pro-Am victory for a 3rd time, and Olson Lia takes home amateur victory for the 4th time this season. With that being said then, let's have a look at our race results from the first race of the day. Jaden Scotton won that one ahead of Kim Bjorklund, almost 6 seconds between them in the end. Mark Draper takes home your semi-pro class victory ahead of Stuart Gibbons winning the Pro-Ams. Jack Brown came home 5th overall ahead of Kev Aylett. Carl Hardy in 7th, Craig Walters in 8th. Daniel Downing in 9th position ahead of Luke Woodhouse. We then had Ronald de Jong in 11th position. Demis Tigchelaar took home 12th ahead of Dek Crowther, and Vegard Olson Lia winning your amateur field. And crucially for him, he'll be starting 2nd position in the second race of the day, with his closest rival in your amateurs starting 17th. Great for your amateur class leader. Fraser Garrity finished 15th, and we'll start race number 2 on pole. Adam Delmont just missing out on that reverse grid pole, but he will be with the other 2 pro drivers who will start 14th and 15th. Chris London finished that one in 17th ahead of Ben Gibbons, take the podium in class. Daniel Lewis took home 19th ahead of Paul Hurley. Thomas Coombe took home 21st ahead of Torbjørn Mail, and then Kevin Marshall came home in 23rd. John Brown, having to pit after the opening lap contact, came home in 24th position and has a lot to do in the second race of the day. But out of that first race of the day, it was an excellent win for Jaden Scotton, of course, and in the various classes as well. It was Mark Draper who took home his first win of the season in your semi-pros. And in fact, we will pull Mark over into the commentary booth here, because Mark, you were able to take a fantastic class victory in that one, overall 3rd as well, but it all came on the very last lap. 3 overtakes were made, and you made your way from 6th to 3rd position. Talk us through it.
It wasn't intentional, to be fair. I think Kev made a mistake. which obviously I capitalised on. And then I just tried defend from Kev on the last lap. And I think I might have slightly overcooked my braking marker. But lucky enough, I think Jack was trying to play for the cutback, but I just stuck my nose in and blocked it. And then, to be fair, that's all that happened. I was gobsmacked so
I was going to say,
I'm going to take the position all day long, but still.
It was a great race, though, nonetheless. Even before that point, you were fighting it out with Kev Aylett, of course, on the laps leading up to the end. And you did find your way then up onto that podium position. It does mean the next race, though, that you will be starting in 13th place. How are you feeling about the inverted grid? Do you feel like you have the pace to move the way back forward, hunt for possibly another top 5? Or do you think you found yourself in a fortunate position in race 1?
I think it's going to be a fortunate position because I can't start these cars. I don't actually have a clutch pedal, so I was quite lucky to get a reasonably good start there and only lost a couple of positions. So, but then it's not only that, coming through the field, the lads, even if they're a little bit down on pace, they still know how to race the car. They still know how to park it on the apexes. Getting through the pack is going to be tough regardless of whether you've got a bit of pace on them or whatever. And the good races.
With not only a first-class podium or a class victory of the season, it was an overall podium. Well done on race number 1, Mark. Good luck for race number 2.
Appreciate it.
Mark Draper there coming home in that one. 3rd position in the end. And as I said, he came home with a victory in class for the first time this season. It was close towards the end, though, as drivers were struggling to keep it together as they were all fighting it out. 4 cars coming to the end, just looking for any position. 2 different classes in it as well. It was a tricky one in all of that one, and we will have enough time to talk to one more driver ahead of race number 2, and I think we should have a pull onto another driver that was involved towards the front of that field, and we'll have a word with Jack in that one because Jack, it was a hard-going fight all the way through, and towards the end of that one, you found yourself in a potential position to take an overall podium as you fought with Stuart Gibbons, but that was not to be as you had a few drivers behind you as well. Talk us through race number 1 in that one.
It was good. It was very good racing. Started off with a crash. I almost died. But besides that, we had a good race at the end. We were a little bit scary watching Mark dive on the inside, considering our own 13 incident points.
Well, you do find yourself finishing very, very strong, especially in the Pro-Am class, ahead of Demis Tigchelaar, who you're trying to close up to take the lead of the championship. You've got some strong points out of this one. Do you think you're in a position to take strong points in race number 2 as well and really close that gap down to Demis?
I really hope so, to be honest, because I am starting to catch up to Demis, but we'll see how the cookie crumbles.
Indeed. The second race to go. We've got 2 more rounds after this one. We'll let you get on it as the drivers start to grid up. Good luck for race number 2, Jack.
Thank you, Joseph.
Jack Brown there coming home in the end of that one during the big old fight that was going on. He found himself in the end sitting in 5th position. It was 2nd in class behind Stuart Gibbons. And what that does mean is we need to have a little bit of a look here at our grid for the second race of the day as drivers find their way onto the grid. We will see the top 15 from race number 1 inverted. So Fraser Geraghty will find himself in pole position ahead of Vegard Olson Lia. Dek Crowther will start in 3rd ahead of Demis Tigchelaar. Ronald de Jong is in 5th and Luke Woodhouse will be starting this one in 6th position. Daniel Downing from 7th ahead of Craig Walters. Kyle Hardy will start in 9th with Kev Aylett. Rounding out your top 10 on the grid. Jack Brown will have his work cut out to him to catch up to Tigchelaar. He'll be starting from 11th with Stuart Gibbons in 12th position. Mark Draper is in 13th with Kim Bjorklund in 14th ahead of Jadon Scotton. Adam Delmont missing out on the invert there, but with the other pro drivers, he sits in 16th position ahead of Chris London and Ben Gibbons. Daniel Lewis will start this one in 19th, ahead of Paul Hurley. Thomas Coombe in 21st, ahead of Torburn Mail. Kevin Marshall-Say will start in 23rd position. And John Brown, after the meatball in race number 1, will be starting from the back of the field. Right then, let's see if we can get ourselves sorted for this one. And our drivers are on the grid and ready to get racing, as we have got all 24 drivers that entered this evening back onto the grid for the second round. We're looking to go an extra 3 laps of racing. We managed to go 11 laps in race 1. We are going to go 14 laps in this one, as everyone's saying hello to us there along the grid as they flash their lights, and hello to you all indeed as we wait for the lights to come on and for us to go racing. 25 minutes on the board. Fraser Geraghty will start this one from pole ahead of Vegard Olson Lia. And we are away, and we do not have a getaway there at the very front of the field from Dek Crowther, I think it was, that missed out on the grid there. But we head up towards turn number 1. It was the 167 machine. That has fallen all the way now back. It was Dek Crowther. Fortunately, everyone avoiding as they then got away. And it looks like we are going to see a car around and more cars off and around in the background as well as drivers try to get themselves sorted. It is a gaggle. Down at turn number 1, we see some drivers off, but none of the pro drivers caught up in that one. Crucially, it was Chris London in the AMS caught up. We saw Ben Gibbons caught up as well. Important for Vegard Olson Lia. He has managed to hold into second position in this one, but Demis Tigchelaar is the man who has found his way to the very front of the field, and exactly what the Pro-Am driver needs in this one. We head up towards turn number 6, and no 3 wides this time. Mark Draper out of this race after we spoke to him out of race number 1. He finds himself down pit lane and out early doors. Stuart Gibbons has got some major damage in the background there, and we'll have to likely, there's no meatball, but with no rear ring, it is very likely they're going to have to come down pit lane there as we see that was Luke Woodhouse getting to the inside of Vegard Olson Lia there and moving up into second position for Woodhouse, trying to close up towards Tigchelaar now. Fraser Geraghty started this one at the very front of the field. We'd be looking to try and make his way past Vegard Olson Lia as well. Olson Lia looking to try and take maximum points out of this one, especially with all the other amateur drivers a lot further down the order. Jaden Scotton and Kim Bjorklund are fighting out for the pro lead here, but it is fighting for 9th and 10th position. Scotton to the right, Bjorklund to the left, and that is Adam Delmont watching behind. He's getting the toe. Where's he going to go? Is he going to make it 3 wide? Adam Delmont moves to the right. He backs out of it sensibly after his contact in race 1 from a 3 wide moment, and Bjorklund touches the rear end of Scotton there, and here comes Delmont to take full advantage of that one, and Adam Delmont moves his way past Kim Bjorklund and in to 10th position, second in class, as they have, the pro drivers moved their way from 14th, 15th and 16th on the grid to 9th, 10th and 11th. Bjorklund trying to do an up and under on Delmont there, a little bit of contact, but it won't stick. Jack Brown looking to find his way up the field. He's up to 5th already in this race. Starting from 11th, of course. He's looking to get up the inside of Fraser Geraghty as we head up towards turn number 7. Geraghty breaks earlier. Brown gets to the inside line, and Jack Brown gets into 4th position overall right now. Geraghty looks to the inside. Jack Brown goes defensive there. They've got the amateur of Vegard Olson Lia just up ahead. Ronald de Jong has got some major front end damage there as Craig Walters here under attack from Jaden Scotton as Scotton flies his way through. Delmont looks to try and get the inside as well as Scotton for a moment peek to the inside of de Jong. Delmont has found his way past Craig Walters as well. Is Kim Bjorklund going to be able to find it just as easy to make his way through? He's got to do it around the outside of Craig Walters though, which is going to be a bit trickier here, but if you keep it through, you can carry a good amount of speed. He backs out of it though, does not want to hold onto that wider outside line, and Bjorklund will have a Pro-Am between himself and the his fellow pro drivers just up ahead as Jaden Scotton gets his way past De Jong. Delmont looking to try and also make his way through, but De Jong pushing Scotton here means that Delmont just did not have the speed. Here goes Delmont though, he looks to the inside. De Jong goes to the inside to try and get back up the inside of Scotton. Knows this is not over for De Jong. It means Delmont doesn't quite know which way to go. There's a little bit of a touch there, as now Delmont and De Jong are side by side. De Jong trying to hold the inside line. Delmont looking for the speed on that outside line here and trying not to lose Jaden Scotton in this one. Scotton taking his first win in race number 1. Can he find his second win here in race number 2? As that was Bjorklund to the inside of Craig Walters. There is contact there, and now Walters is going to lose a number of overall positions there as he tries to stay to the inside of Kev Aylett to hold on. He certainly does. But now Aylett looking to try and do something in return on that one. Luke Woodhouse is to the rear of Tigchelaar, only a few tenths of a second separate your leading two drivers right now. Luke Woodhouse is only 4 tenths of a second, 3 tenths of a second I should say, even 2.5 tenths of a second behind Tigchelaar. He's closing. He got a good exit out of turn number 9. He's getting the toe here as well, but Woodhouse chooses to stay behind as they come into turn 10, looking potentially for a move up towards turn number 1 in this fight for the overall race lead, as we find the Pro-Ams and Ams up in your top 5 right now. Cole Hardy, your highest semi-pro driver. Jaden Scotton, your highest pro driver, as they are making their way back up the order with the invert. Through the final turn there, and Tigchelaar was wide out of 13. He sent him wide into 14. Woodhouse saw that and thought, I am going to take full advantage of this one. Jack Brown was looking to get past Olson Lia behind as well. And it looks like he's done it. There is major accident. And for the second time this season, Vegard Olson Lia is taken out in an inverted grid position. Luke Woodhouse at the same moment got past Demis Tigchelaar. But Vegard Olson Lia, a second time this season, and it was contact with Jack Brown. That one is definitely going to be reviewed, and it was a slide from Lia. I cannot make a judgment call on that one. Of course, Brown does move across to the right-hand side of the circuit. There is no doubt about that one as Tigchelaar looks to regain the lead in this race. He's to the inside of Woodhouse. Woodhouse leaves the door open, but he will hold on to it on the exit of 8. Of course, Lia left the door open on the outside there after the slide. Brown was out on that outside line. Of course, Brown had to move across because the circuit, obviously the track was ending. I know that there will be some judgment saying that Brown deserved racing room to get back on to the track. And others will be saying because Brown was behind, he would have had to back out and not try to force his way back on. We will leave that to the stewards as your pro drivers. Scotton and Delmont fight it out for your pro class lead. Scotton's to the inside. Delmont stuck on the outside here. If he is able to carry the speed though, he should get the overlap and move into the pro class victory position at the moment. He certainly does. Bjorklund, the fastest driver out there at the moment, is still trying to find his way past the field. He's going to get past Cole Hardy to get back up to this fight. Scotton, though, looks back to the inside of Delmont. He does not want to give up this fight because he knows he has the opportunity to take a second race victory. He does hold it on the outside. It'll turn the way of Scotton once more. Bjorklund finds his way past Cole Hardy and all of that. And once again, your pro drivers are all together. Adam Delmont, though, looks to the inside of Jaden Scotton here. Will be looking to take that on the braking point, and he certainly does. He's to the inside as they run side by side through the exit of turn number 4. It will turn back to the inside for Jaden Scotton here. It's sideways for Delmont. He slides the car, and Bjorklund will find his way through. Is Cole Hardy going to find his way through as well? Hardy's certainly trying. Delmont's going to keep his nose in on the outside there. Delmont does not want to lose a position to a semi-pro driver in this fight. Carl Hardy, the leader of your semi-pros, of course. It is close behind as well, though, as the rest of the pack are starting to chase up. Right now, Woodhouse and Tigchelaar working together. They are they are half a second between each other, 2.5 seconds between them, Says and Fraser Garrity. Garrity just keeping the pros away from the podium at the moment. Jack Brown, Stuart Gibbons, both down pit lane. It looks like they are out. Vegard Olson Lia, it looks like he is or back out onto the circuit. He knows that he can still take some points out of this one. And also, if penalties are applied and Lia is found at fault, it means that this is the race that Lia will get that penalty applied, on a race where he is not going to be scoring too many points anyway. Of course, if Jack Brown has a penalty applied due to that contact, he is going to be taking the penalty in the next point-scoring race, which could be a significant amount of points to him. Daniel Downing gets past Thomas Coombe, who's up to 14th overall, but due to Vegard Olson Lia being out of this one, Thomas Coombe is now leading your amateur field, which means Vegard Olson Lia, championship leader, won race number 1. Thomas Coombe, second in the championship, currently looking to win race number 2. However, he does have the whole of the amateur podium chasing him, including Lia's teammate Torburn Mayle in 16th position, and the man third in the championship, Ben Gibbons. Jaden Scotton here gets to the inside of Kim Bjorklund as they continue to fight it out, but Bjorklund looking just for a moment to get back up the inside as they up towards turn number 9. This 3-car fight for your pro victory is going on for 4th position right now. We've got 14 minutes in it. They could work together and find their way all the way to the front of this field, I think, but at the moment they are just too busy fighting between themselves. That is Fraser Garrity ahead of SRL Blue that they need to try and make their way through if they want to hunt up towards Tigchelaar and Woodhouse. They are all remaining single file for the time being. Daniel Downing gets to the inside of Bono de Jong for 6th position. De Jong obviously dealing with that major damage on the front end here, and I'm trying to have a look back here to see if I know where that damage was picked up for De Jong, but I can't seem to find it. I think it might have been that turn 1 cluster, all the way back on race number lap number 1. There was the spin for Stuart Gibbons, the number 17, hard into the wall there as well. I think that was the number 17 that was hard into the wall in all of that one. It was. That was Daniel Downing. And then that was where De Jong was caught up in it as well. So De Jong was the 91 that was knocked from behind, knocked from the front. It took out his front of that one. And then Chris London was another car that went around in all of that. This is all the way back on lap number 1, of course. There's all the spin, and then he was caught by the second SRL Purple machine of Mark Draper and all of that one, who's obviously gone out of the race following that. Right, back up then towards this fight towards the front. Scotton and Delmont has found their way past. Bjorklund has not, though. Something has happened in this fight for Bjorklund, as that was Garrity looking for a moment to get up the inside of Adam Delmont. It looks like Bjorklund has had a bit of an issue. In fact, this is after all of it has happened. What happened to Bjorklund? It looked like it might have been a slowdown for Bjorklund. It certainly was. He pulled across to the right-hand side. It was a slowdown for Bjorklund that has dropped him away from the pro fight that is currently being led by Jaden Scotton. Scotton winning race number 1. He leads the pros again. Can he find the 2.7 second deficit up towards your leading fight, Demis Tigchelaar and Luke Woodhouse, and hunt for a second overall race victory, taking his first victory in race 1, looking to take the double here at Catalunya, and the double has been common in the last couple of weeks. Adam Delmont, when he took the pole and won race number 1, he also won race number 2. Not the overall, but he won in class. Brands Hatch, Kim Bjorklund took the pole. He won race number 1. He won race number 2. Not the overall, but in class. Scotton has taken the pole. He has won race number 1. If history is anything to go by, it looks like he will be on his way to win race number 2. Not overall, but in class, as there was a change for the lead in this session. As Demis Tigchelaar gets past Luke Woodhouse, it was a big moment. Luke Woodhouse very late there, either a slowdown that he was trying to serve, or he has just made a huge mistake into turn number 4. But now Woodhouse looking to try and regain the race lead on the outside of Tigchelaar here. It is side by side. Tigchelaar holds the inside. Woodhouse looking to try and get the switch across here. He will hold it on the outside. Has he got a nose in? Just a small nose in. He'll stay behind. Tigchelaar will hold on at the moment. This is the fight, not only for your Pro-Am class victory, it's your fight for overall victory. This is exactly what Demis Tigchelaar needs to hold on to the Pro-Am Championship, because Jack Brown is out of race number 2. If Demis Tigchelaar can take a strong result like this, it will open up that gap, which is one of the, well, it's the second smallest gap in the championship. Scotton goes purple. They are closing in behind. Woodhouse to the outside of Tigchelaar. He closes in there, but Tigchelaar just slams that door shut on the outside line as Demis Tigchelaar holds on to the lead on this one. But Scotton and Delmont are catching up. Delmont has not been going for the overtakes here. He's been looking at trying to just push Scotton forward for now. Woodhouse and Tigchelaar continue to fight, which means that Scotton now only 0.8 of a second back and should be up to the rear end of them by this point next lap. Even earlier if they continue to fight, which they do so into turn 5, the wider line for Woodhouse there. Delmont just a bit tighter on the exit. He drops back behind though. I think he's going to wait until potentially either until they're up with these drivers or until they've got past these drivers. It looks like he might be waiting until they're up with these drivers, because Delmont goes to the inside. Now they've closed that gap. Delmont is no longer going to be waiting behind. He knows that if Scotton makes his way through, it's isn't going to be easy going for Delmont to be able to make that overtake to move back into the race lead. Tigchelaar though has been doing a great job to hold on right now ahead of Luke Woodhouse. Garrity keeps Kim Bjorklund at bay. Bjorklund tried to make the move up towards turn number 10, couldn't quite do it. As we head into turn 13, Bjorklund chasing down behind Garrity right now. Just under 8 minutes left to go in this race as we head up towards the timing line. As we will have a jump back towards the front here. These are the 2 front packs, of course. It is Tigchelaar leading Woodhouse. It is Scotton and Delmont behind right now. Down to 0.6 of a second along the straight there for Scotton. As that was Garrity off at turn number 1. Well, turn number 2, really. What has happened here for Fraser Garrity? Has it been contact with Bjorklund? Garrity goes defensive. Bjorklund tries to keep that speed on the outside. He is there. And Bjorklund was very much there. Garrity closed the door when Bjorklund was holding on to it. It means that Garrity now loses behind Craig Walters in class as well, as he is down to 9th position. Trying to fight with Kev Aylett to hold on to 8th though. But it means Garrity falls behind his teammate there of Craig Walters, as Adam Delmont, his day just goes from bad to worse. And welcome to drop week for Adam Delmont. 16th place in race number 1, and Adam Delmont is going to have to visit pit lane to serve the penalty. I believe it was just another off track for Delmont. there it was, and it was enough to then give the penalty, which means that Kim Bjorklund, who is now 2 seconds behind, will move up to second in class, but Jaden Scotton is very... No! Adam Delmont crashes into pit lane! Adam Delmont's day is done! He is out! Adam Delmont crashes, coming into pit lane to serve the penalty, and what was a poor weekend goes from bad to worse for the man at the top of the championship. Drop week will definitely be applied here today. He'll still be leading the championship, of course, but it does give Kim Bjorklund a huge advantage as we enter the final 2 rounds. It's going to be interesting to see what the championship standings are going to be like, and if you do want to find out before next week and the broadcast comes back on, head across to the SRL Discord, which you can find in the YouTube description or on any of our graphics whenever we're in the comms booth and at the start and end of the broadcast as well. As Tigchelaar holding on to Woodhouse here, goes defensive on Woodhouse. Scotton's watching. He's got 5 minutes to think about his overtake here and think, where can I move through for the race victory? Woodhouse gets himself alongside Tigchelaar here. He's going to hold the outside line. Tigchelaar going to try and keep it on the inside here, as this is the 3-car fight for the race lead now. And Woodhouse is going to switch across to the inside, and Jaden Scotton is going to get his nose in. Are we going to go 3 wide? It looked like for a moment we might have. Scotton not risking it. He knows what he has right now. As to the outside, Tigchelaar is trying to hold it with that speed. Scotton just thinking, where do I go? And he moves to the right-hand side. And we are 3 wide for the race lead here at Catalunya. We head down towards turn number 1. Jaden Scotton's got the inside. Tigchelaar holds it around the outside. Luke Woodhouse backs out, but Demis Tigchelaar holds the race lead. Scotton looked for a moment to get to the inside. Hit the brakes as Tigchelaar closed the door. You can tell Scotton is being safe here. He wants to win, but he doesn't want to wreck out. Bjorklund and Carl Hardy are closing up behind. Scotton confirms the overtake past Woodhouse once more into turn 4. Woodhouse looks for the switchback though. This will go the way of Scotton's inside line. Woodhouse looking to try and get the speed on the exit once again. Scotton moves to the left-hand side. Looks to try and put his nose up the inside, and Tigchelaar, he could still try and put his nose up the inside. They don't. They settle it through in the middle. Woodhouse held up behind Scotton there. A lot of curbing from Demis Tigchelaar. We're coming up to the final 2 laps of asking here. Bjorklund and Hardy are very much in this fight now. We head up towards turn number 10, looking to see who is going to take race victory. It's all good and well looking at their classes, but they are taking points from their overall race results. So actually for all of our drivers, this really does matter. Demis Tigchelaar leading the Pro-Ams. Luke Woodhouse will want to get all the points that can offer. Jaden Scotton winning race number 1, his first win of the season, looking to race number 2. Woodhouse ran onto the gravel there on the exit of turn number 12. He loses position to Bjorklund. Bjorklund up to the podium now. Scotton doesn't have to worry about Woodhouse getting involved. He does have to worry about a championship contender getting involved though. He's 0.4 of a second behind Demis Tigchelaar. 2 minutes on the board. 2 laps to go here as we come up towards turn number 1. Heavy onto the brakes. Tigchelaar has been defending his heart out this race, and he is still doing a fantastic job at keeping the Hydro Race machine at the very front of this field. Can he keep it there for 2 more tours of this circuit? He goes defensive. Scotton having to go on the outside. He's going to do the switch across though, but Tigchelaar places it perfectly on the inside line there. Scotton can't get the switch to the inside. Tigchelaar looking to run in the middle of the circuit here. This is inviting Bjorklund in to fight with Scotton. Bjorklund stuck on the outside. No, there's contact with Woodhouse. Bjorklund onto the gravel. He'll be hoping there's not too much damage there. As Torburn Mail crashes out of this one and will have a meatball flag. Will jump across once it's settled down very quickly here. How's that happened? It's the final turn again for Mail, but this time earlier into it. It's a hit with the wall, and that'll be out of that one with the meatball. Jaden Scotton then looks to the outside of Demis Tigchelaar for the race lead. Tigchelaar trying to hold it there. He's got good amount of overlap here. He might be able to close the door on Scotton. No! Scotton says, not this time. I'm going to have the inside. But Tigchelaar will have the outside line here. You can carry more speed there if you keep it in. Tigchelaar is certainly trying to. But Woodhouse is now getting involved in this one. Scotton leads. Woodhouse to the inside of Tigchelaar. Tigchelaar's going to have to hold it on that outside line. It is going to go up towards turn number 1 as the white flag is out. Kim Bjorklund gets himself to the right-hand side. It is 3 wide for the race lead on the final lap of Asking. Scotton and Bjorklund to the inside. Bjorklund backing out ever so slightly, but it will be 3 wide into turn number 1. And Bjorklund goes around. Bjorklund finds himself falling. Jaden Scotton leads ahead of Demis Tigchelaar. Carl Hardy finds himself in 3rd. Kim Bjorklund is penalised on the final lap. He won't be able to serve the penalty. It'll be a post-race penalty for him. Craig Walters looking to try and get past Luke Woodhouse at this very last moment. Demis Tigchelaar is half a second away from a race victory. Jaden Scotton looking to be the first man this season to take the double in overall race victory. Nobody has won the overall race 1 and race 2. And Jaden Scotton, after taking his first win of the season in race 1, is going to be the first man to take the double in overall race victory. He continues to lead the field through turn number 12. 2 more turns to go for the JC Academy Emerald driver. Jaden Scotton has found a huge amount of pace this evening, and Jaden Scotton is going to find his way to overall race victory in race number 2. Kim Bjorklund will be penalised as we come up towards the timing line, as it was victory in class. The podium was each of your class victories apart from your amateurs. Thomas Coombe wins the amateur class in 13th position. But what a battle! A win for Scotton, a win in class for Tigchelaar, a win in class for Hardy, and a win in class for Thomas Coombe. But Demis Tigchelaar, take a bow, because that was some brilliant defending. Just wasn't able to take it to the line as we wait for the final 2 drivers of this race to cross the line. Vegard Olson Lia and Torburn Mail, they both found themselves into tie-up barriers in this one. Lia after contact with Jack Brown, Torburn Mail on his own. They will come at the back of the field, but what a race that was. What a fantastic battle for race victory, and Jaden Scotton. What an incredible evening of racing for the man from JC Academy Emerald. It was double victory, double overall victory for the first time this season. Nobody else has managed that feat. So, with that being said, race number 2 comes to a close. Jaden Scotton wins, half a second clear of Demis Tigchelaar. It was then Carl Hardy coming in third, and your entire podium were your class race winners in your pros, pro-ams and semi-pros. Luke Woodhouse took home fourth, ahead of Craig Walters, and Fraser Garrity came home in sixth. Daniel Dowding crossed the line in seventh, ahead of Dek Crowther. Kev Aylett in ninth, and John Brown ended up coming from the back of the field to take a top 10 result. Daniel Lewis finished in 11th, and Thomas Coombe won your amateur class in 12th. Ben Gibbons came home in 13th, ahead of Chris London. Ronald de Jong in 15th, ahead of Kevin Marshall, Paul Hurley in 17th. Kim Bjorklund, with the post-race penalty applied, came home in 18th position. Vegard Olson Lia in 19th, ahead of Torburn Mail. They were your last of your race finishers. Adam Delmont, Stuart Gibbons, Jack Brown and Mark Draper all out in race number 2. A great set of races then in that one, and we'll have a look to see who is around for us to talk to out of that one, because it was an incredible battle for a number of our drivers, and one that ended up coming down to race victory for Jayden Scotton. And in fact, I think it's only fair if we pull Jayden Scotton over into the commentary booth, because Jayden, today you took your first race victory of the season. To top it off, you came back in race number 2 to take your second race victory of the season, and you are the first man this season to take overall race victory in race 1 and race 2. Talk us through your evening, because it has been a brilliant one.
Oh, race 1, felt like a nice leisurely stroll, and then race 2 was entering an active war zone comparatively. Yeah, I find it hard to talk about all that because I'm still coming down, trying to process that race 2, because that was 25 of the most intense minutes of my life. Trying to get that. But I didn't know that. I'm happy to have gotten that record of getting both race wins. It's not been the best season for me, so it's nice to have something to show for it.
Indeed, you have put on a great show. That fight then, it ended up being 5 of you fighting it out for race victory. It certainly wasn't easy. Demis Tigchelaar was putting on a hard fight at the very front of that one. What were your thoughts going through that one? Were you thinking that the win could be yours? Was it more just trying to stay clean? Because we saw a number of times you did back out and be a little bit more conservative in your overtakes, trying not to get into wrecks. How was it approaching that?
I mean, at one part I was racing just on instinct. When it's that close together, you don't have too much time to think. But I was still conscious of the moves I backed out of, because I don't want to take anyone out if it can be helped. You know, always want to race cleanly. And thankfully, there was beating and banging, but that's touring car racing. But no one ends up off track or in the barriers, so I'm pleased how it went. Well, of course I'd say that, but yeah, it was really good racing, clean racing all round, and I'm happy it went that way for everyone.
I don't think I can say anything more than congratulations on that one. As you say, it's a great record to hold, winning both the overall races, the only driver to do it so far this season. And what a race it has been. Probably one of the best fights at the front there. You say it was the most intense 25 minutes. It was brilliant to watch up to the booth. So congratulations on not only your first win of the season, but the double.
Thank you.
Jayden Scotton there, coming home to take the race victory in both race number 1 and race number 2. It couldn't have gone better for the JC Academy Emerald driver. And he has talked about the fact that this season has not gone the best of the ways that it could have done. Of course, throughout the season, Jayden Scotton heading into this round, sitting 6th in the championship. Today's rounds, though, could find himself finding himself up towards a potential podium in class. Definitely nearing that one as we head into the final few rounds, of course. And Jayden Scotton, if he's able to attend the final 2 rounds of the season as well, with the dwindling pro class, it means that he could find his way towards the very front of that field as well. But what a great evening of racing it was for him. It was not only a great evening of racing for him, of course, there was a great result in the end in the amateur class, and that's where the championship fight goes on at the moment. It's between Thomas Coombe and Vegard Olson Lia, and after Lia won race number 1, unfortunately taken out of race number 2, Thomas Coombe benefited from that one and took home race victory in class. How did your evening go there, Thomas, in the amateur field?
Again, it's similar to VIR. It was a damage limitation evening. I didn't really have the pace tonight. Race 1, I was just not anywhere near on the pace. Obviously, Vegard had a great first race, and seeing where he started in race 2, I wasn't holding up much hope. But obviously, I don't know what happened in his incident, but obviously that's helped out quite a bit. It's probably, I'd imagine, evened the points out sort of over the 2 races between us. So for an evening where it's a track I don't really like and I wasn't that quick, I'll take a P1 in race 2 for sure.
I think I'm going to start banning drivers from coming in here with a class victory and saying I'm not very quick at this track, because it seems to happen every week. I'm not very quick at this track, but I did just win the race. So a strong result for you there. You say, of course, it looks like it's going to even itself out. We've got 2 more rounds coming up with Road America next week. Then we're to Hungaroring. Of course, Hungaroring cannot be a drop. So how are you feeling heading into these final 2 rounds? Do you think you have that opportunity to take the championship? Are you just taking it race by race, or you are thinking now about the end goal?
Well, I'll take it race by race. Road America, I don't mind that track too much. It's a decent track for me. Hungaroring, I've never raced around, but I know I don't particularly like that track. So, and also with this update that's coming up next week with the TCR sort of overhaul, it's going to be interesting to see how that affects everyone, whether some people benefit from it and others don't. So yeah, I think I'll just take it race by race, try and keep myself out of trouble, which I've done the last few weeks, and hopefully it ends up with the AM Championship. But yeah, I'll see how it goes.
Well, congratulations on race number 2 victory, Thomas. We'll see what the championship points are like when they are posted shortly, and we will hopefully see you back up towards the front again next week, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you once again.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Thomas Coombe here, coming home first in the amateur field, and I'm generally going to ban drivers now from saying about, oh, I'm not very good at this track. But I did just take the race victory, because every single week our drivers come into the commentary booth at the end of one of these races and says, "I'm not very quick. I don't really like this. It was a damage limitation race, but I took a win. You know, I'll take it." What's that? No, you won a race, right? You can't say you're slow around a track if you win the race in class, and that's exactly what Thomas Coombe did there. And again, Jayden Scotton, I have to repeat this fact, because you know what I'm like about statistics. You know I love statistics. You know I love looking back at the race results and seeing what's going on. Genuinely, this is the first time a driver has taken a pole position and won overall race 1 and overall race 2. It is the first time a driver has won overall race 1 and overall race 2 anyway. It's an absolutely amazing statistic. It is only the 3rd time this season a driver has won the pros in race 1 and race 2. Of course, Delmont did it in Mugello. Bjorklund did it last week at Brands Hatch. Scotton has now done it at Catalunya. But what a evening for Jayden Scotton. No victories to his name coming into this round. He then takes the double and the overall double with that as well. What a fantastic evening of racing for Jayden Scotton. And race number 2, I mean, that battle for the lead has got to be the best battle for P1 I have seen in a very, very long time. It was a absolutely amazing fight going on out there. If you want to make sure that you catch up with the end of this season, because there are only 2 more rounds left to go. We go to Road America next week. We go for the final round 10 of Hungaroring in 2 weeks' time. Make sure you don't miss them. What you want to do, join the SRL Discord. It's linked below in the YouTube. It's on the screen right now on the QR code. Make sure you head across there. You can catch up with all of the standings heading into those rounds, out of those rounds, and all the penalties as well. You can also be notified when we go live. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel here on SRL TV so that you are notified when we go live on a Friday, so you're not going to miss any of these races. If you're watching over on the Joseph Wright TV Twitch page, then make sure that you hit the follow button there and you'll be notified there that we'll go live. And of course, to catch up with race highlights of the season and of the previous seasons as well, then make sure that you head across to the Joseph Wright YouTube channel and you can check out all the highlight videos. But from here at the Catalunya circuit, it has been amazing racing. We will be out next Friday for Road America, the 9th round of the championship, and crucially for our drivers, the final drop week, which means that next week, if you have a bad race, that's okay. But Hungaroring, you have a bad race, you are taking those points with you. It really does matter. Adam Delmont did not have a good weekend here today. It will be dropped for him. It's going to be interesting to see how the championships are affected by that. But here at SRL TV and Joseph Wright Broadcasting, we hope you have a fantastic week. We will see you next Friday for round number 9. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.